behind me, you can see the festivities. Yes, this is the Gay Pride Parade in Mexico City. To honor this event, I'm wearing fuchsia-colored underwear right now, and I've been told I can't show that to you on camera, sadly. I was hoping I could do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight, but that's not going to happen. I guess not. Stacey.
Yes, we are in Mexico City, in case you weren't aware of that, because there is an angel over Max's shoulder that is a famous angel in the Paseo de la Reforma. So we're in Mexico City, so we're going to talk about Mexico. We're going to talk about the Mexican economy. We've encountered many people here. We've had public events, meetups. We've met hundreds of people, and we're going to talk about Mexico. We can't say, regarding the Russiagate stuff, I have had at least a dozen people here in Mexico ask me, what is going on with America? They seem crazy. They sound like Chavez, because I guess Hugo Chavez had quite a lot of conspiracy theories, and they thought it sounded like that. But in terms of the economy here, everybody looks happy out behind us, of course, but some of the headlines would suggest that it's not so good for some people. What we've encountered, of course, in Mexico City is, a lot of, it seems like prosperous and booming compared to even 2.5 years ago when we were here. But Mexico's economy reels from a blast from the past. Green gold, that's the new name Mexicans have given to avocado, one of the country's staple foods and most important agricultural exports. Unlike real gold, the price of green gold is soaring, having more than doubled in the last year alone to reach an average price of 71.4 pesos in Mexico City, according to data from Mexico's National Institute of Statistics and Geography, known as INEGI. So at that point when this article was written, it was $3.85. It's come down a little bit in terms of the exchange rate because the peso has increased a little bit.
Yeah, it's funny that they compare it to gold and call it green gold. Gold is not really what you want to compare it to, because gold itself has been in a bear market for 4 years, 5 years. Price has been stagnant. I think you might have to call it green Bitcoin to give people an understanding of the price appreciation. Otherwise, it sounds like the price is dead. Yes, avocado prices are zooming because of hipsters in America ordering avocado toast at $12 a pop. And there's a lot of articles in America encouraging hipsters not to order avocado toast because it's a waste of their savings and they should put that money to work in something like Apple stock or something like that. But I say, you know what? Have all the avocado toast you want because it helps people in Mexico, and Mexican people need the help. They need the economic support because the culture here is rich, and lots of other stuff.
We've had a lot of avocados here. Guacamole with grasshoppers on top.
No, I think that's outstanding. The grasshopper guacamole was a standout performer on the menu, the strip.
And ant eggs, real ant eggs with some avocado.
Yeah, ant eggs with avocado. Yeah.
Basically, avocado makes everything taste better.
It makes life better.
Avocado prices are soaring for a whole variety of reasons, including rising global demand. Mexico is the world's biggest exporter of avocados, accounting for just under half of the global market, and that market is growing by the day, particularly in the U.S., Europe, and China. But there's another reason why the price of green gold is rising in Mexico, and it's much closer to home: inflation. And you mentioned gold, real gold, gold, and that hasn't acted in the past few years anyway as a better hedge to inflation than avocados have, apparently, because they've doubled in price.
Right. Well, unfortunately, avocados are not a store of value. You can't hoard avocados as a protection against inflation. No. You can't buy gold or silver because they're being manipulated by central bankers. That's why there's a rush into Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies like Maxcoin and others, because it is a store of value against banking miscarriages of economic justice and inflation that they purport to cure the debt-ridden economy with, that in fact just impoverishes the billions at the expense of, or the enrichment of, a few.
I also will note behind us at the Pride Parade, I do notice they're not taking much pride in the environment because all those helium balloons are flying past, and that's a no-no. We have noticed a lot of pride here in Mexico itself, in the heritage and the culture of Mexico, which is quite remarkable. There's something like 53 languages spoken here. The only other country with more languages spoken in their nation is China. 53 languages, many of them indigenous, Native American, native, to the area before the conquistadors arrived. All those languages, most of the food is derived from their cultures, including grasshoppers and ant eggs. They were eaten long ago. Now back to avocado prices and the inflation, however, here. After decades of trying to tame the tempest of rising prices with a reasonable degree of success, Mexico's inflation rate soared to 6.17% in May, as measured by the IMPC, the CPI version used by INEGI. It was fueled largely by the rising cost of food and energy after the government hiked gasoline prices by almost 1/5 at the beginning of the year. It's the highest inflation rate since April 2009 and over double the Bank of Mexico's benchmark rate of 3%. And they note that it's the speed at which inflation is taking off. Last year at this time, it was 2.6%. Now it's almost 6.2%. Of course, when Donald Trump was elected president, that day, the peso sank by 7.7%. It's recovered most of that. But, you know, Trump is a bit of a making their currency a little bit volatile.
Right. The inflation, according to that definition, in Mexico is tied to a falling peso. And I think people in the United Kingdom should take note, because as the British sterling pound dropped due to Brexit chaos, pretty much this is the kind of inflation rate they're going to be expecting soon, 6%, 7%. That'll wipe out a huge, enormous amount of the population, economically speaking. The second thing to keep in mind here is that this definition of inflation is interesting because it excludes wages. In the old days, like 30 years ago, they used to put wages into the basket to calculate inflation, but because they want to get rid of people's wages and replace everybody with robots, they remove wages from their calculation of inflation, and they include stuff that they hope to guide them into financial policies from the central banks, in this case Bank of Mexico, that will exacerbate and exaggerate the wealth and income gap and the upward drift of wealth to the top 1/10 of 1%.
Mexico has a few oligarchs. Carlos Slim, of course, is often in the top 3 or 2 or 1 richest person in the world. We also have, because of the low prices of many things, including food staples and the low value of the currency against other currencies, the middle class here, I think, can kind of live quite well compared to the rest of the world. But it's the bottom, 50% who are earning minimum wage, which is quite remarkable, and why this avocado price matters. So remember, I said avocado price, the average avocado costs 71.4 pesos. So I'm going to tell you the figure for the daily minimum wage here in Mexico City, because Miguel Angel Mancera, the chief of government of Mexico City, just called for a short-term hike of the country's minimum daily wage to 92 pesos, with a view to raising it in the medium term to 120 pesos. So that's about $5 a day for the minimum wage here. 92 pesos, an avocado costs 71.4 pesos. So this also puts into context the situation with the United States and Trump and immigration that was happening for all those years. It comes mostly from the bottom, because if you're working a 10-hour day here and making $5, or you can go to America and work a 10-hour day and make $60 or $70 or $80, of course, you're going to go do that.
Right, and of course here in Mexico, the stock market has doubled.
Yes.
Because companies don't need employees.
Yeah.
Companies don't need wage earners. The government doesn't need taxes. The government can fund itself by having the central bank print money for itself. The top 1/10 of 1% has access to the central bank, who prints money for them at 0% interest rates, and they have unlimited supply of money. And I call this interest rate apartheid. So the Bantustans, if you will, the pockets of severe poverty here in Mexico, are engineered and created by the central bank and the elites working together to abuse economics and monetary policy and to somehow justify what is essentially economic apartheid.
Well, NAFTA hasn't improved the bottom 50% who are on $5 a day. I also want to say that the average of inflation from today back to 1970s here in Mexico is 25% annual inflation. So 6% looks quite good compared to that. And that's because if you look in the 1980s, it hit 180% at one point, and then they got it a bit under control. And then in the 1990s, you had the tequila crisis, where the currency devalued by 50% overnight when they let the peso float. But I also want to say, regarding the government and the government expenses, well, they're far from they're not in deficit. They don't have a deficit. And we can see why on La Jornada, the cover of their newspaper here. And by the way, while we're here, we're going to talk to one of their columnists. But basically it's saying that 8 out of 10 people here in Mexico who apply for their pension, their state pension, like Social Security in America, 8 out of 10 are denied. And it's mostly because of basically small clerical errors. You make you forget to cross a T or dot an I, and they will basically reject your application for your Social Security. So it says that many people are therefore turning to criminal gangs in order to get loans and sustain themselves, and those criminal gangs then apparently collect your Social Security for you. So
well, this is an example of financial terrorism, of which the Mexican government is guilty. This is a government that was in league with HSBC to launder.
Right behind us, by the way.
You can see the building back there, hundreds of billions of illicit drug cartel money, resulting in tens of thousands of beheadings and murders in Mexico. That's the government, HSBC, the bankers. They're in league here now, depriving 8 out of 10 people from their pension money. That's financial terrorism.
But this is, you and I have talked about this over the years, that they rig the CPI index in order to avoid having to pay out the increases to Social Security payments in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in Europe, to avoid paying increase Medicare payments or anything like that. They say that
here they're just stealing it.
Here they just say
they're just stealing it.
Well, you'll eventually get it. Most of these people eventually get it, but it's bureaucracy. They push it back a year or 2 or 3 years.
No.
So
no, they're never going to get it.
Well, this is what they said.
That's
but
That's
it could be a lie.
They're never going to get it.
Anyway.
It's like Wells Fargo stole money out of people's accounts.
Yeah.
They just stole it.
Yeah.
Stole it.
Yes.
All right. Well, we got to.
We're going to go outside and get your hot
I'm going to show these guys my fuchsia underwear and see what happens. Time now to turn to Jose Rodriguez. He's the VP of Payments at Bitso. Jose, welcome back.
Thank you very much, Mac, and welcome back to Mexico, too.
Yeah, we were here 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so we've noticed that things are growing quite rapidly in a lot of neighborhoods. And we also noticed that cryptocurrencies are growing very big here. Bitcoin is growing very big here. And before we get into that, or I should say with Bitso, just tell us a little bit about what Bitso is.
Yeah, Bitso was the first Mexican Bitcoin exchange that allowed people to have access to an easy way to get Bitcoins through Mexican pesos. So what we did is we have an open order book exchange which allows customers to place orders to buy and sell. Afterwards, we added other technologies. We currently have Ethereum, and a month ago we added Ripple. So now we not only have 3 order books for them changing against Mexican peso. We also have order books against Bitcoin versus Ethereum and Ripple versus Bitcoin.
Right, different pairs in the system. How's volume? How's the order flow?
Well, there has been a growing volume and growing interest. There are more people getting into this and more people hearing about Bitcoin and Ethereum. And even Ethereum, I get amazed that before everyone used to talk about Bitcoin, the people that were starting, and right now I'm starting seeing people that are asking about Ethereum, what is the technology, what are they doing, and getting into Ethereum even before Bitcoin. So it's very exciting seeing how people are hopping into all of this technology.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was reading that in Russia, people are mining on their desktop cryptocurrencies, and they're making double the national average in wages, $1,500-$600 a month. I was wondering, is there a lot of this type of desktop crypto mining in Mexico?
No, there is a lot of interest because, as you know, it's a way to get this cryptocurrencies, but there isn't a big mining community. There are people interested in doing, and they don't actually do it with desktops. They do it, for example, with graphic cards to mine like Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies. But there isn't as much mining going on here as in other parts of the world.
I'd like to change that, and next time we're in Mexico City, do another event with you and get folks desktop mining for cryptocurrencies as a way to augment income and push back against the fiat currency cartel. Now, last time we were here, Jose, 2.5 years ago, the entire crypto market in total was valued at, I think, maybe $2 billion or $2.5 billion. It's now worth over $100 billion, $110 billion. It got up to $116 billion. That's in just 2.5 years. Is it challenging the status quo?
Yeah, it's amazing. Not only the whole cryptocurrency, it used to be only Bitcoin growing and being most of the market. You can see it in the total market cap that Bitcoin used to be 90-80%. And right now, very, very interesting things are happening. Not only the whole economy are growing into over $110 billion, as you mentioned, but other cryptocurrencies are getting almost as big as Bitcoin. You have seen a big jump in the market capitalization, for example, in Ethereum and Ripple, which there is a trend that if people think that that if Ethereum continues with this growth, it might also overcome the market capitalization of Bitcoin. And this has also to do with all this scaling debate and also the new use cases that people are seeing in Bitcoin, like the ICOs, which are getting a lot of hype. And also in Ripple, that after BBVA made this announcement that they were using Bitcoin to transfer money between Europe and Mexico, everyone wanted to jump into XRP now. So,
I mean Ripple.
Yeah, Ripple.
Ripple, yes. Well, you mentioned Ethereum, and you mentioned that it's becoming very popular. The market cap is in the tens of billions of dollars. It's competing with Bitcoin in a lot of ways, and many of these altcoins have reached above the billion-dollar market cap, or $500 million or $750 million. Thinking about Dash is one, Monero. Litecoin, of course, has had a resurgence. It got to 50.
Yeah.
You know, back a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, we were talking about Litecoin. It was at $1. We said this could be a $50 coin. Sure enough, it went to 50, pulled back to $2. Now it's back to 50, hitting new all-time highs. So our show is kind of really the only show that really covers this stuff, and people watch it and they are enriched by it in many ways, not only from a financial perspective, but from their political activist point of view. In my opinion, not everyone sees it that way. But with Ethereum, they had a blockchain split, and you had Ethereum Classic, something that Barry Silbert is, behind in a big way, and they have Ethereum, the new Ethereum. And was that split a success? And is that something that Bitcoin now should model itself after? And what is the status of the fork split, the hard fork, soft fork debate in Bitcoin now?
Well, there is this threat or this option that it could happen the same as it did in Ethereum. And what happened in Ethereum is very interesting because there was no backstory of what could happen. There was only speculation, but then we saw it in the practice. So what is exciting about this world is that you cannot stop the systems like you probably do. If there's a mistake in a stock exchange, if there's a mistake in the bank, you stop the systems, you start an audit, you start seeing how you can fix all of this. No, here you have to fix and do everything real time. So this is very exciting what happened to Ethereum, and it's something that could happen with Bitcoin. There could be two versions of Bitcoins, but what you see is there's a predominant one, which in this case you can see it in the market cap and the transactions done in the blockchain and the use cases that are being made. So, for example, Ethereum has a market cap that's going over $30 billion, while Ethereum Classic it's going above $1 billion when they used to be 1 to 10. So you have seen a spike